car accidents, illegal buildings, or a robbery with a loaded gun. These are mistakes that cost footballers millions. It's gonna get insane. But sometimes money can be lost in a completely different world, and that's exactly what happened to Neymar. It all started when he bought a Mutant Ape NFT for $25,000. That led him to buy 60 more NFTs, including not just one, but 2 Bored Apes, each worth $500,000. Unbelievable! That's $1 million spent on some profile pictures. Neymar didn't see this as a problem until the market crashed. Right after he made his investment public, the hype around NFTs dropped sharply, and the crypto market went down. Within a few months, one of Neymar's most valuable NFTs, which he had bought for $500,000, was worth only $100,000. But things got even worse when the Bored Ape project was sued. It turned out they had used celebrities like Neymar to drive up NFT prices, only to sell them at inflated value, much higher than what they were really worth. This led to a $4 billion lawsuit, and the project's reputation was ruined forever. So, Neymar lost over $1 million with this investment. Maybe Bitcoin would have been a better idea. If you agree, give this video a like. But that was nothing compared to what happened to Lionel Messi. Buying an illegal property cost him a fortune most of us can't even imagine. The Argentinian star was in his favorite place, Ibiza. But this time, he wasn't there for a vacation. He was looking to buy his dream house, and this is what it looked like. This is Messi's paradise, and it had everything a superstar could want. That's why it cost him a massive $10.3 million. But shortly after completing all the paperwork, Messi found himself involved in a major legal case. The government discovered that his new house had been built illegally. Apparently, Messi bought the house from a shady businessman who had kept secrets from the government. When the man first purchased it, the house originally had 4 bedrooms, but he expanded it and added 2 more. There was no proper building plan, the required construction permits were missing, and the house didn't even have the legal certificate allowing anyone to live there. All of this is absolutely required by law in Spain, but until the house was listed for sale and Messi made his purchase, no one noticed this criminal issue. That meant Messi couldn't live in his new house until he solved the problem. Even though his lawyers tried everything legally possible, the only option was to restore the house to its original state. Messi spent $10.3 million only for his house to be torn down. I don't even want to know how many sleepless nights he had because of that. But the next player still has nightmares, all because of one unforgettable night. During the 2015-16 season, Max Kruse was one of Wolfsburg's star players. He performed well in the Bundesliga and the Champions League. They even came close to knocking out Real Madrid in the quarterfinals, so a poker night seemed like a well-deserved break. One evening, Kruse and his friends traveled to Berlin to have some fun, but before heading to a party, they planned a quick stop at the casino. The idea was not to spend all his money since he didn't carry much cash with him. What happened next even surprised him. He walked out of the casino with a massive €75,000 win and put the money in a backpack. Since he wasn't driving, he placed the backpack in the trunk of a taxi when heading home after the party. But at 6:30 a.m. when he got out, he completely forgot about it. A costly mistake. But that wasn't the end of the story. When the news spread in the media, Wolfsburg coach fined him heavily. We explained to him what kind of behavior we expect from our players. I can only hope he learns from this and changes his ways. Man, that was one expensive taxi ride. But it seems Kruse didn't really learn his lesson, because at the end of the season, Wolfsburg sold him to Werder Bremen. But that's still not as bad as almost killing someone by accident. Ronaldo is famous for owning almost every luxury car imaginable. His favorite toy, a Bugatti Veyron, which he bought for $2 million. The car turned heads everywhere he went, until Ronaldo was on a family vacation enjoying a beautiful time. But something was missing: entertainment. So he pulled out his phone and subscribed to Beyond 90 Minutes. If you don't want to miss any future videos, you should do the same. But back to the story. Ronaldo missed his Bugatti, so he hired a service to transport it across the ocean to the island on a yacht. He just couldn't wait until his vacation was over. But Ronaldo had made a big mistake. He sent his assistant to pick up the car. However, his assistant wasn't used to handling a car that could go from 0 to 100 km per hour in just 3 seconds. And so, the inevitable happened. He crashed Ronaldo's Bugatti. The result? A total wreck. But that wasn't the worst part. The driver lost control and crashed into a house, damaging the entire building. When the car was towed away, Ronaldo realized this situation would cost him way more than the $2 million he had already spent. The crash ripped the door off its hinges, 2 concrete pillars collapsed, and the family's dog was shaking in fear. Ronaldo told the family to repair everything, keep the receipts, and he would cover all the costs his Bugatti had caused. He made things easy for everyone. What a generous guy. But the same generosity almost became Paul Pogba's downfall. Normally, Pogba is known for his calm and relaxed attitude, the kind of person you'd never expect to be in a life-or-death situation. After signing contracts worth millions of euros, he started financially supporting his family and friends. He let his friends live with him for free and took care of everyone close to him for over 10 years. But eventually, Pogba's generosity was taken advantage of. One day he found out that someone from his inner circle had stolen his credit card and spent 200,000 euros. Losing trust in everyone, Pogba cut off financial support and stopped helping anyone from his close group. He distanced himself from everyone to focus on himself and his career. And that's when his life almost took a deadly turn. One night, criminals drove to his house and knocked on his door. When Pogba opened it, he found himself staring down the barrel of a gun. They forced him into a car and took him to a secret location. There, they gave him an ultimatum. If he didn't pay 13 million euros, they would kill him. So, he paid, and they let him go. That's how Pogba survived. But soon it became clear that he knew exactly who was behind it. He recognized their voices. So Pogba called the police and gave them the names: his childhood friend and his own brother, Mateus. It didn't take long before the incident made headlines all over the world. After this news made waves, Pogba's brother was arrested for armed robbery and extortion. Paul Pogba's biggest mistake was doing too much good for the wrong people, but he lost much more than 13 million euros. He lost his childhood friend, if you can still call him that, and his own brother. Sad to hear something like that. The next player didn't just gamble with his money, he also gambled with his career. Sandro Tonali joined Newcastle United in the Premier League during the summer of 2023. The club was thrilled to sign the young talent for 63 million euros. In England, Tonali was supposed to earn 8 million euros per year. But just a few weeks after his move, prosecutors started an investigation against him. During his time at AC Milan, the midfielder had placed bets on Milan's matches, and even on games of his former club, Brescia. Tonali admitted to betting, but only on his team to win. His agent, however, claimed Tonali was addicted to gambling. After playing just 11 games for Newcastle, the Italian was banned for 10 months.
And Newcastle United midfielder Sandro Tonali has been handed a 10-month ban from all football by Italian prosecutors for breaching betting regulations.
The Premier League club made it clear that they wouldn't pay his salary during the suspension. This means the 23-year-old has already lost more than 8 million euros. Let's hope his career gets back on track. But of course, Zlatan Ibrahimovic can top that. It gets even crazier. He lost $20 million while trying to fulfill his childhood dream. Ibrahimovic is a legendary former footballer. He has a unique personality that always puts him in the spotlight.
When I say I am God, you think I'm joking or not?
You tell me.
I'm not joking.
So for over 15 years he played at the highest level, scoring goals that no one else could. So you think he would shine on any stage. After making millions in football, Zlatan wanted to make another dream come true. A dream he had had since childhood, his own fashion brand. I've worked with many big companies and a lot of the clothes I wore became trends. Having my own brand is like a dream for me. Shortly after, Zlatan officially announced the launch of his brand, AZ Sportswear, which stood for Amateur to Zlatan. What else would it mean? He wore his brand's clothes in interviews, posed with them on Instagram, and posted some of the funniest YouTube sketches in history. This was Zlatan when he started his own fashion brand. At that time, he had no idea this decision would cost him over $20 million. Jokes like these made sure no one took his brand seriously. It didn't take long before Zlatan lost the millions he had invested, hoping to become the next Nike or Adidas. Without doing proper market research, he had high-quality products made, which drove up production costs significantly. While he kept promoting his brand, in the end it was just clothes with an A to Z logo printed on them. So nobody wanted to buy them. There was no uniqueness. As a result, Ibrahimovic was losing about $2 million every month. Then suddenly, the brand's official Instagram account posted 3 messages, announcing a 50% discount on all products. it was clear that the brand was never going to take off. In the final post, they thanked everyone for their support and announced that this was the last chance to order from the store. A few days later, the page disappeared and Zlatan had to give up on his childhood dream completely. This project left him with a $22 million loss, or rather, $22 million lost Zlatan. Maybe Chinese defender Sheng took inspiration from Ibrahimovic's failure, but what's the worst that could happen from an aggressive foul? At most, you get a red card and a suspension for a few games, right? Well, that would have been nothing compared to the punishment Sheng received. Before a corner kick, he intentionally stomped with full force on the foot of his opponent, Witsel from the rival team. Witsel went down in serious pain. The referee immediately pulled out the red card, but that wasn't the end of it. Sheng's stupid mistake had serious consequences. Since this wasn't his first reckless act, his club didn't just fine him €41,000, they also demoted him to the second team. Was that it? No, it got even worse. His yearly salary of €680,000 was also reduced. Could it get any worse? Well, in the final minutes of the match, Witsel himself scored the 1-1 equaliser for the rival team. Sheng will never forget that day in 2017. But none of the players mentioned so far have lost money because of a body part. The next player, however, did, and it was a huge amount of money, over $45 million. Vinicius Jr. lost this sum because of his feet. All the great Brazilian stars were sponsored by one brand, Nike. And when Nike's representatives heard about an upcoming talent named Vinicius Jr., they signed him to a 10-year contract worth $75 million. Things were going great for him in football, and he even had a secure income, so he thought he could fully focus on becoming a football superstar, while also being the face of a huge brand. But just as things were looking up, Nike ruined his plans. Why? Because he was transferred to the biggest club in the world, Real Madrid. For his football career, this was a huge turning point, a step from star to superstar. But Nike hated it, because the club he joined was sponsored by their biggest rival, Adidas. Nike thought, if we make Vinicius Jr. a superstar, we'll be helping our biggest competitor get more recognition. So they did everything they could to slow down his rise to the top. It all started during Real Madrid's Champions League run as Vinicius became a key player for his team, securing 4 goals in 6 games. He was one of the key players in winning the Champions League title. But throughout the entire tournament, Vinicius only received older football boots from Nike's outdated collection, like these Mercurials here. He didn't get any new boots to showcase to the football world. It seemed like Nike was deliberately sending him older models to keep him out of the spotlight. It looked as if Vinicius Jr. was being excluded by a billion-dollar company like Nike. Then in November 2024, Nike showed the world their true intentions. The biggest football event in the world was coming up, the 2022 World Cup. The perfect moment for Nike to create one of their biggest commercials ever. The problem? Many Nike athletes appeared in the ad, even Phil Foden, who didn't have a huge contract with them. But their biggest Brazilian star, Vinicius Jr., was nowhere to be seen. And what made it worse for Vinicius, the commercial was watched over 8 million times. It could have been a huge opportunity for him to gain even more fans. Maybe it was just a coincidence that he wasn't in the ad. At least that's what people thought. Until Nike released another commercial featuring his teammate Rodrigo, who was far less popular than Vinicius. Then they posted another video promoting Brazil's World Cup jersey. Almost every Brazilian player was included except Vinicius. After receiving only old football boots and being left out of every commercial, Vinicius Jr. started to feel like Nike wanted to cancel his contract. But instead of waiting to be dropped, Vinicius took action and publicly voiced his frustration with Nike. He even announced that he wanted to terminate the contract himself. Fans also commented that his contract needed to be updated since he had gained millions of new followers on social media since signing it. He wasn't getting the recognition from Nike that he deserved. Shortly after, Vinicius hired his lawyers to find a way out of the deal, but this decision cost him $45 million. Sure, many of these players probably lost their temper after making such costly mistakes, but many players could just relax in their massive and expensive homes. If you want to see the incredible and secret houses of football stars, click here. See you soon!